Adil Rahman and Leila Mansoor were the picture of perfection. He, a millionaire tech mogul. She, a mysterious beauty with a flawless past. But less than 24 hours after exchanging vows in one of Dubai's most extravagant weddings, Leila was found dead in their honeymoon suite, and Adil had vanished without a trace. What began as a dream marriage unraveled into a chilling nightmare when a single email exposed a hidden identity, a dark past, and a secret that would lead to murder. Dubai had seen countless lavish weddings, but none quite like the union of Adil Rahman and Leila Mansoor. Held at the opulent Burj Al Arab, the ceremony was a spectacle of luxury and precision. Guests arrived in chauffeur-driven Bentleys, greeted with gold-foiled invitations and rose-water mist. The ballroom shimmered with crystal chandeliers and imported orchids, while a live orchestra played under a ceiling of cascading lights. Every detail had been planned to perfection. This wasn't just a wedding. It was a statement of power, wealth, and modern fairy tale romance. Adil Rahman was a well-known figure in Dubai's business world, a self-made tech mogul whose rise from modest beginnings had made him a symbol of ambition and discipline. Reserved and meticulous, he wasn't the type to rush into anything, especially not marriage. So when news broke that he had fallen in love and was tying the knot after a whirlwind 6-month courtship, many were surprised. Leila Mansoor was equally intriguing. With olive skin, expressive eyes, and a quiet elegance, she carried herself like someone born into privilege. She told people she was raised between London and Morocco, the daughter of a diplomat. Her stories were always vague but never suspicious. What made her so appealing was the mystery she wore like a second skin. She was beautiful, but she didn't flaunt it. She spoke little, but everyone leaned in when she did. Their meeting had been discreet, through a high-end matchmaking agency catering to Dubai's elite. Friends of Adil whispered that she was different from anyone he'd ever dated. She was calm, thoughtful, elusive. In his eyes, she was perfect. But perfection, as the guests would soon learn, was only a mask. And underneath that mask was a past buried deep, until it surfaced on the most unexpected night of all. The morning after the extravagant wedding, the silence inside the penthouse suite was broken by a knock that went unanswered. Hotel staff, assigned to deliver a luxury breakfast, grew concerned when repeated calls received no response. After notifying management, a key was used to access the room. What they found inside would shatter the illusion of the perfect couple forever. Leila Mansoor's body was discovered sprawled near the foot of the bed, her lifeless form partially covered by the train of her wedding dress. The room was in disarray, pillows scattered, a chair overturned, and the carpet smeared with faint traces of what appeared to be blood. Her neck showed clear signs of strangulation. There were no signs of forced entry. She had died sometime during the night, likely just hours after the wedding ended. Adil Rahman was gone. His personal belongings, including his passport and suitcase, were missing. Hotel security reviewed footage from the early hours of the morning and spotted him leaving alone through a private elevator at around 12:30 a.m., dressed in casual clothes and carrying a single leather duffel bag. His phone had been switched off shortly after. He hadn't returned since. Investigators found a short handwritten note on the nightstand beside the bed. The ink was smeared, but a single sentence stood out in clear, shaky letters. Asterisk, she lied. I saw everything. Asterisk, the words sparked immediate speculation. What had Adil discovered so suddenly? And was it enough to drive him to murder? News of the incident spread quickly through the city, and what had been hailed as Dubai's wedding of the year was now a crime scene. The press swarmed the hotel, and within hours, headlines around the world had changed, from celebration to horror. The bride was dead, and the groom had vanished without a trace. As police delved deeper into the background of Leila Mansoor, their investigation quickly unraveled a carefully constructed web of deception. Her passport listed her as a Moroccan national born in Rabat, educated in London, and raised between Europe and the Middle East. But official channels revealed no academic records, no birth registration, and no travel history before the last 3 years. Her digital footprint was suspiciously clean. For someone so young and supposedly well-traveled, she left behind almost no traceable past. A breakthrough came when an investigator found an old photograph buried in a regional crime database. The woman in the image bore an uncanny resemblance to Leila. Same eyes, same smile, but under a different name, Amina Siddiq. The record showed that Amina had vanished from a small Tunisian town at the age of 19 after being implicated in a financial scam ring that targeted wealthy businessmen across the Middle East. Though she was never formally charged, several victims had accused her of fraud, seduction, and blackmail. Interpol had opened a brief investigation in 2016, but she disappeared completely before charges could be filed. Now, nearly 7 years later, she had re-emerged as Leila Mansoor, living among Dubai's elite, blending into high society with ease. Her new identity was flawless, carefully forged documents, a believable personal history, and an air of sophistication that deflected suspicion. She had charmed her way into the city's most exclusive circles, ultimately catching the attention of Adil Rahman. As detectives connected the dots, a chilling picture formed. Leila hadn't just reinvented herself. She had buried her true identity to escape a past filled with deceit. The question now was not only how Adil discovered the truth, but whether she had planned something more sinister than just a new life. Something far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. As investigators continued to piece together the timeline of the night Leila was murdered, they uncovered a pivotal clue, an email sent to Adil's private account just before midnight. It had arrived from an untraceable address, containing multiple attachments. Inside were scanned police reports, faded photographs, and a Tunisian identity card bearing the name Amina Siddiq. The woman in the photos was unmistakably Leila. Same face, same features, but now exposed under a different name. Forensic analysis confirmed the email had been opened on Adil's personal laptop, which was still in the hotel suite. Internet history revealed that, following the email, Adil had spent nearly an hour digging through online databases, news reports, and old forum posts. Some of the articles he accessed detailed romance fraud cases, including one that described a woman named Amina who disappeared after allegedly blackmailing a Saudi investor. Other tabs showed searches for terms like identity fraud punishment UAE and marriage scam legal consequences. The timeline was damning. Adil had discovered the truth about his new bride between 11:45 p.m. and 1 a.m., the same window during which Leila was believed to have died. Surveillance footage captured no one else entering the suite, reinforcing the theory that whatever occurred between them had happened behind closed doors, alone. Investigators theorized that Adil, blindsided by the revelation, may have confronted Leila. The handwritten note left on the nightstand, she lied. "I saw everything," was now understood as a reference to what he had just uncovered. But what no one could yet determine was what actually transpired in that final hour. Was it rage, panic, fear, or something more complex? One thing was now clear. Adil had uncovered Leila's darkest secret just hours after their wedding, and it had turned what should have been the happiest night of their lives into a moment of irreversible destruction. 2 days after the murder, Adil's luxury SUV was discovered abandoned near the edge of the Al Marmoum Desert, miles from the nearest road. The vehicle was locked, but the engine showed signs of recent use. Inside, police found a bottle of water, a half-eaten protein bar, and a map with certain areas of the desert circled in red ink. Nearby, faint footprints led into the dunes before being swallowed by the shifting sand. A massive manhunt was launched, involving drones, heat sensors, and ground patrols. Dubai police believed Adil may have attempted to flee through remote desert paths to avoid detection. For several days, the search yielded nothing. No sightings, no signs of movement, no communications. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. Then came a crucial discovery. A camel herder traveling through the outskirts of the desert found a satellite phone buried beneath a pile of rocks. The device was turned over to authorities and sent for analysis. What they uncovered changed the course of the investigation. On the phone were GPS logs, voice memos, and encrypted messages. Among them was a chilling voice recording made in the early hours of the morning after the murder. It was Adil's voice, tired and broken. "She trapped me. She wasn't who she said she was. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't mean to." That recording was enough to issue an international arrest warrant. Analysts traced the GPS history to a remote location near the Oman border, leading authorities to a safe house hidden in the mountains. When they stormed the property, they found Adil living under a false name, with a forged ID and a stash of cash. The runaway groom had been found, but his story, as investigators would soon learn, was far from over. Adil Rahman's arrest sent shockwaves across the region. Once seen as a calm and composed businessman, he now stood accused of murdering his bride just hours after their wedding. The trial drew intense media attention, with every seat in the courtroom filled and millions watching updates online. Prosecutors painted a picture of a man who snapped in a fit of rage after discovering his wife's deception. They emphasized the brutal nature of the killing, the handwritten note, and his attempt to flee across international borders. But Adil's defense team offered a very different version of events. They acknowledged that he had discovered Leila's real identity and passed on the wedding night. However, they argued that the confrontation escalated only after Leila, fearing exposure, tried to drug him with a sedative-laced drink. Toxicology reports confirmed trace amounts of a fast-acting tranquilizer in a glass found near the bed, supporting Adil's claim that she had attempted to subdue him first. Further examination of his injuries revealed defensive wounds, scratches along his arms and neck, that aligned with a physical struggle. His lawyers suggested that in the chaos, a fight broke out, and the strangulation may not have been premeditated but rather a result of panic and survival instinct. They also introduced evidence that the anonymous email exposing Leila had been sent by someone with ties to her past scams, an old accomplice who had turned against her. In a surprising verdict, the court ruled that the murder lacked clear intent. Adil was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 9 years in prison. Public opinion was sharply divided. Some saw him as a victim of deception, others as a killer hiding behind emotional turmoil. What remained undeniable was this: a grand love story had masked a dangerous secret, and the truth had destroyed everything it touched.